Also, you can find the same saying in Deuteronomy 11:19 and in Proverbs 3:24. Let us continue. Now we're going to talk about Eli. The case of Eli presents a view of the opposite course, and taken in connection with the case of Abraham, shows that if we can make any comparison, it is more fearful thing for parents to have disobedient children than for the children to be disobedient. I didn't understand that too well. God expects the children of his people to be his also. Eli was God's high priest, but he had wicked sons. He knew of their wickedness and remonstrated with them, saying, 1 Samuel 2:23-24, Why do you such things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all these people.
And when it says right now, it says, in the stories of Eli, when it says, in comparison, it is more fearful thing for parents to have disobedient children than for the children to be disobedient. So, like, for example, it's more fearful because of parents, because Eli did not what? Correct his. So basically, it's the parents are now, remember, children are heritage, Lord, so means the parents have an answer for them not doing what. So it's not like it's so. For example, let's say a child has a parent and their parents die somehow. The parents did not have an opportunity to raise that child in the admonition of the Lord. But if the parents are alive and they have a chance to raise that child, it is more fearful for them if they do it wrong than it is if they didn't do it wrong. And also, like I said, so it's going to be a lot put on the parents to do the work and everything.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very fearful thing for you to have children and not do the correct way, because you're going to give an account. We reap what we sow. We don't reap what we don't sow. What we reap, we harvest. Whatever wrong we've done with the children, Ronnie and I were not parents, but we're just giving this admonition to the people according to the book and according to what we read in the scriptures. You may not take our counsels as hardy because we're not parents, but we don't gotta be parents. We know what's right and wrong, and we have helped my sisters be with their kids. Ronnie helped his sister raise their daughter. So we know what children are, and we know what the Lord requires that we instruct those children. And another thing that I wanted to say was that we are to correct our children. I know according to the law, after they get 18 years old and they move out, you just can't do nothing, right? Because the law protects them to go out and be rebellious. But before that, you have all those years of character development that you need to instill in those minds the love of God and his law. And so don't waste those precious moments, because what you put in that brain, in that little heart, it's going to reap a harvest. Remember, the word of God says, my word shall not return unto me void. The word of God comes to us, and it comes to do a work on our lives. And whether it does the job that it's intended to do to convert us, or whether it does the job that we are still rebellious, it wouldn't be God's fault, right? So you guys have to do your best job as parents. Pray for your children and let the results with God. But do not lack the godly parenting. 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 23 and 20. I read 23, but I didn't read 24. Nay, my sons, for it is not good. It is no good report that I hear. You make the Lord's people to transgress. But his sons paid no heed to his mild remonstrance. And the Lord said to Samuel. Now we don't want this to happen to us, huh, dear parents? We don't want the Lord to come and tell us that we're going to be lost because we didn't do our job as parents, didn't we? We don't want this experience what Eli happened, right? He died. And he was lost. Let's go ahead and read 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 2 and 3. I will perform against Eli all the things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I began, I will also make an end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knows, because his sons made themselves vile, as wicked, and he restrained them not. Many of you guys have children that are vile, and you guys didn't do anything about it. That's when we have to give an account. But for those that are doing the work, stay faithful. There is a harvest to gather, okay? Eli did not learn from the Lord how to govern, and he lost much by it. Abraham had learned the lesson from God, and it was eternal gain to him. There is another phase of the commandment that is scarcely ever thought of. Exodus 20:12. Honor your father and your mother. And also notice something that in Exodus 20:12 it says, honor thy father and thy mother. For what reason? That thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth you. So we are to honor the commandments, which is including this commandment right here. For what? For us to have the heavenly Canaan, right? To whom does this speak? There is no limit. It speaks to everyone who has or has ever had a father and a mother. That is, it speaks to all mankind without exception. This commandment is not limited to children. It speaks to the man of 80 as well as a child of 4. Someone may say, I have no father or mother. They are dead. How can I honor them? Just the same as though they were alive. Indeed, it is often the case that people do not learn to honor their parents until they are dead. A person never in his life gets into a condition where this commandment does not apply to him. He may never have known father or mother. They may have died the day he was born. Yet, the commandment still speaks to him. Honor your father and your mother. Page 65. The commandment universal. Still more, it makes no difference about the character of the father or mother. They may have been the most depraved characters. Nevertheless, the commandment speaks, honor your father and your mother. It is not the child simply that is in the index of the parent, but so long as a person lives, his character reflects upon his ancestry. Even though a man's parents have not done their duty by him, have neglected or ill-treated him, and have trained him in habits of sin rather than righteousness, still his duty is to honor them. How? You will ask, must he simplicity obey and follow their evil teachings? Not by any means. That would not be honoring them. He must honor them by his upright life. Whatever a man lives an honorable life, the name which he bears is honored, and his father is thus honored through him. People who have known his parents will naturally conclude that he must have come from a good stock. And even though they have known them and have considered them to be worthless characters, yet seeing the right character developed in the son, they will think that there must have been some good in them after all. Of course, the good all comes from the Lord, yet God himself desires that the parents should share in the honor, even as he would have them cooperate with him in the development of right characters in their children. And I have another comment. No man can live a base, ignoble life without bringing dishonor upon his parents. But if he himself yields to the redeeming grace of God, he redeems to some extent, at least among men, the character of his parents. And right here we understand when it says, honor thy father and mother. If your parents tell you you need to go and work on the Sabbath, you know you do not honor your parents in that command, right? You have to follow your conscience. Just like it says in the book of Acts chapter 5, we have to follow what? Obey what? God rather than men. So parents, even though they do get their honor, that honor is on its limited condition. If it goes against your conscience, because it goes against the conscience of God and the 10 Commandments, then we're not going to obey those parents.
And it's been throughout history, like some men, the father had basically dishonored the family name because they were depraved and everything. And there's been in history, you can go to search it and everything, that sometimes the son will try to bring back honor to the family name. You know, so like I said, they'll try to live their utmost life to live, to honor the family name and everything. And that would be like the same thing on this. Like you can see that happening even in the Civil War time period and everything. Even in even back in the old country and everything, that's what they did. And they try to bring honor back to the father's name and everything, because their father's name has been defamed and everything.
In Psalms 27:10, when my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. If your father and mother are rejecting the truth and you are, keep your trust in the Lord. The Lord will keep you. And what comes? Okay, let us continue. The universal Father. So this commandment simply says to every soul on earth, be good, do that which is right and true, honor God, the universal Father, the one whom all fatherhood comes. We are his offspring, and he is the one who is to be honored above all in the honoring of our parents. And nothing that is above all the honoring of our parents, and nothing that is dishonoring to God can possibly be honoring to the parent. Psalms 27:10. When my father and my mother forsake me, oh my goodness, I'm ahead of the book. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Our duty to our parents when they are living is simply our duty to God through them. And if they are dead, the relationship still continues the same to God. Isaiah 66:13. As one whom his mother comforts, so will I comfort you. God himself is the fullness, the reality of all human relationships. We see that this commandment is exceeding broad. It not only embraces the whole relation of children to parents and of parents to children, but the whole of every person's life. If there be any difference, it applies to the parent more emphatically than to the child. For the parents have a duty first, in order that the child may honor them in obedience to this commandment. God, who gives to us the promise of eternal inheritance, expects us to live in this world in a way becoming the inheritance. Colossians 1:11, 12, 13. Strengthened with all might according to his glorious power, unto all patience and long suffering with joyfulness, giving thanks unto the Father, who has made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who has delivered us from the power of darkness and has translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son. He expects us by the grace that he has given us to live in this, page 67, in this world, as we should continue to live in the world to come. We are to live now as in Eden. That does not mean that there should be no family and social life. Quite the contrary. Since the family began in Eden, it matters not that we are in a sin-cursed earth with sinful flesh. The Lord Jesus, in whom was no sin and who knew no sin. By the way, did we pray before we start reading?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Another way you can think about this command right now is we bring it out even to modern day times. Okay? Like right now, God says he wants us to be in good health and what?
Prosper.
And to prosper. Now, we understand, like, what does it mean by to be in good health and even prosper and everything? Like, for example, in life and everything, you're supposed to even honor your father and mother even when they're depraved, even if they're dead and everything. Like, in life, we should strive to do what? Always to do what? To do better. Like, for example, in this modern day time right now, we have, in the United States, we even have the welfare system, and we even have Section 8. You know, what I agree, the parents at that time period, what? They wanted to go on Section 8, and they raised family after family after family on Section 8. Or even a welfare system. And so what are they doing?
They're not prospering. They're
teaching their children that it's okay to have a free handout in life and everything when they don't want to work for the life. They want to work for. They don't want to work to eat and everything. They want to just have everything free. That's not of the Lord. So what do? So right now it's like, for example, like this. It's like when I grew up and everything, we've had hard times. We were hit financially and everything like that. But my thing is I wanted to strive to even do better. You know. I tell it to my wife all the time is you must go and do everything to the best of your abilities in the Lord and everything. Try to strive to do better than even your parents done and everything, and don't just look for free handouts. So like right now, even though your parents like to say you want to try to strive to try to be prosperous on even when you're on this earth. Not try to go gain total riches to go hurt people. No, just try to do your best and everything you do. Just try to do everything like where you work. Try to do your best at work to prosper, and you will benefit. You will see like me and everything. Where I started 20 years ago, I'm in a different place now and everything because I continue to be prosperous. Don't try to hurt nobody. Just try to do better than even my dad and everything. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to just do it. So like I said, it's how you think of life and everything. Just don't sit there in life and think you're going to get a free handout because that my parents done this. I'm going to be the same way. That's what.
And this has no connection with the prosperity gospel. No. This just means use your hands and work.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so we do thank the Lord for the provisions that He does gives to us. Yeah. Because we know that it's God who blessed Ronnie to have a job. Mm-hmm. And so when we say, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
On earth that is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Mm-hmm. We cannot just be like, okay, give me my daily bread. I'm just going to stay here in the living room and wait for the food to come and the money to come to pay bills. Mm-hmm. That's not how it works. God has given us hands to work. That's what Ronnie is referring to.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But society right now is teaching. There's like 87 million people, I believe, in the United States alone right now, out of 300 million that really want. A lot of them want, and not all of them want handouts because we're living in hard economic times. But probably like 40 million some people right now are wanting handouts from the government and everything, and not want to work. And that's not that's breaking this law right here.
Some are faking the government and getting money. Other people, they got sick. And why? Because of the food they eat. They love to their flesh, their pig, their shrimp, their cheese. And if they were to know the health message and they will be healthier, they give God glory, go get a job. God is able to heal you. But we can't just expect God to do everything. It's a cooperation. And now changing a little bit the subject, I want to go to the book of Luke, chapter 14. And I'm going to go to verse 26. Luke 14:26, it says, If any man come to me, and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. This doesn't mean that we are to hate our mother and father, literally. But what God is trying to say in these verses of Luke chapter 14, verse 26, is that we are to honor father and mother. But like I said it before, their law has to be in harmony with God's law. And if it's not, that's when you don't follow them. And another thing what this verse means is you are not to love your mother more than you love God. Then your mother says, go to work on Sabbath, honey. Come on, we need to pay the bills. Or like my mother told me once, she wanted me to go work in pants, and I didn't want to do that. And I followed my conscience, no. And so those kind of things, we cannot follow. And so we know that our parents, they may be lacking sometimes the wisdom. So we just use our wisdom that we have in the Bible to be able to guide us. What do I do? Are my parents telling me the right? My parents telling me the wrong? And so we need the Bible to be our guide for our conscience. Let's continue. Galatians 4, verse 4 and 5. Now I want to read the whole verse because here it's only partially. In verse 4 and 5 it says, But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that he might receive the adoptions of sons. And verse 28 it says, Galatians 4:28, Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, we are the children of the promise.